Hello, we did our presentation on Marriott International. My name is Madison Immel.
And I'm Bethany Osheim.
To start with the history, J. Willard and Alice Marriott opened up a nine-stool root beer shop in 1927. They opened up a few of these restaurants throughout the next couple of years and then eventually turned to airport boxed lunches. In 1957, Bill Marriott, their son, opened the first Marriott Hotel, which was a key bridge. In 1988, they were opening up their 500th hotel, and currently in 2019, Marriott is one of the largest hotel brands in the world.
The financial position of Marriott International. 17,000 rooms were opened during the third quarter of the year. 3,100 were converted from competing brands. 6,700 come from the international market. Net income in the third quarter of 2019 decreased by 23%. 137 million total users are on the Marriott Bonvoy app. 12 million joined just in the past year. $6 million were incurred and $9 million worth of insurance recoveries due to a data incident in 2018.
So the different segments of Marriott International are the North American Full Service, the North American Limited Service, and the International segment.
So, looking at the current ratio of Marriott International, over the last 3 years, their current ratio total has decreased slightly. That's mainly due to their increase in liabilities and decrease in current assets.
Current ratio shows a company if they have the ability to meet short-term obligations. The number will show if a company can pay back their liabilities depending on if it's high or not. When the current ratio is calculated for Marriott, it is shown that in 2018, Marriott would not be able to pay back their liabilities since their current ratio shows a number less than 1. This is not a good position for the company to be in.
So for a recommendation, because Marriott's current ratios from the past 3 years show a steady decline, it'd be wise to pay back their short-term obligations. They will need to obtain some long-term loans to do so. These long-term loans will allow them to pay back immediate debts they owe. Another option they can consider is to convert non-current assets into cash. By doing so, they will have the opportunity to increase their current ratio status.
Next is debt equity ratio or a solvency ratio. This shows that Marriott's numbers are increasing. This can be a good thing and a bad thing. Creditors want that number to be low since it's less risky, but owners want it to be high, but not too high because that can become unstable.
So the solvency ratio shows a company's ability to make payments on their long-term obligations to banks, bondholders, and creditors. If a company has a better solvency ratio, they will end up being financially stable. For the year 2018, Marriott International's debt-to-equity ratio is close to 10. The equity value for a company needs to be greater than the debt so that the company can stay financially stable.
Some recommendations are Marriott's debt to equity ratio has been growing each year. This high ratio indicates that the company is viewed as a high risk to shareholders. They need to consider lowering their liabilities to reduce their debt, particularly their long-term liabilities. Another factor that would make Marriott healthy would be to increase revenues. This would decrease the debt to equity ratio and would then make them more stable.
So for the activity ratio, the working capital has reached negative $3 million, which is not good for Marriott International. And this is mainly due because their current liabilities are so high.
Yeah. The activity ratio shows a company if it is stable to generate earnings. As a company, you'd want this number to be positive to show that you are successful and able to generate those earnings. It's shown that Marriott has come out with a negative number the past 3 years. This shows that the company is probably struggling since they are spending more on assets than they are on liabilities.
So for a recommendation, to generate sales from working capital more efficiently, they can ensure that all debt obligations are being met on time. Paying these debts in a timely manner are important for a company to flourish. Second, they can eliminate any wasteful expenses that aren't benefiting Marriott's growth. The removal of unnecessary expenses will allow the company to have more liquidity for working capital. Finally, Turning long-term assets into cash will also improve working capital. This recommendation, however, should be put off until the very end when nothing else has proven to work.
Next is profit margin. So as you can see, as you can't see, but as you can see, our numbers are increasing. The standard for hotels is 15%, but the numbers are consistently increasing, which is a good sign. So that's at a good place.
So the profit margin ratio will show how well a company utilizes its expenses to generate sales. The hotel industry standard for profit margin is to be averaging 15%. Marriott's profit margin is obviously much lower than that amount, but their numbers are consistently getting larger, which is a great sign. The company does need to increase their net income to improve this number even more.
Some recommendations. Marriott has successfully increased their profit margins each year. To continue this trend, they can consider lowering some operating expenses. These reductions will maximize their profit margins. Reduction of labor costs and other variable costs should also be evaluated. By engaging in such changes, Marriott needs to be cautious not to reduce expenses to the point of their revenue growth being negatively altered. Even though Marriott International already practices corporate sustainability, being more efficient with their consumption of energy will result in lower utility bills. Sustainable operations is just another way that a company can be successful.
So for the operating costs, all of the numbers don't show much change over the years. The occupancy rate was the highest in 2017, as well as the RevPAR.
So RevPAR is a great performance metric that hotels and resorts use to calculate the average daily rate by the occupancy rate. This number will show how well operations are performing and the ability to sell available rooms. Marriott International numbers show a fluctuation in RevPAR, and in the past couple of years, occupancy and ADR have not been at a constant rate.
So a recommendation: to improve RevPAR, merely changing the price of the rooms won't alter the occupancy percentages. Marriott needs to price rooms that reflect the economy, and rates should automatically increase. Marriott can also increase face-to-face interaction. Meeting with guests in person will leave a meaningful impact on their stay and will make them want to come back again. Another recommendation would be to make sure that websites and brochures are appealing. The goal is to attract as many guests as possible to improve occupancy rates.
And that's it. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.